This is the number one skill that you must master in 2026 alongside public speaking. I know many students or many people have been coming to me that this year, Apuuli, I need you to help me with public speaking. Can I join your program? Can I join the Fluencer 101? Amazing. I need you to master that. It is indeed the most influencing skill when it comes to career growth, influence, and impact. And it has been proven by both scientists and all scholars. Because if you cannot express yourself, you cannot lead and you cannot share your vision. And that is why almost every innovator and inventor that you know at a certain point had to go and learn public speaking skills for them to sell their vision, for them to sell their product, for them to sell their amazing services. However, generations have changed. If you learn public speaking without learning this one skill, you're wasting your time in this generation. Let's look at a few facts. In 2019, Zoom, now you know what we are going to talk about, digital speaking. Speaking on camera vis-a-vis speaking on stage. In 2019, statistics show that Zoom had over 10 million active or participants on Zoom. In 2020, just after COVID-19, after COVID-19 pandemic, statistics showed imagine from 2019 to 2020, statistics showed that Zoom had 300 active participants who actively involve themselves on meetings on Zoom. Not 30 million. 300 million from 10 million. Now, I've just showed you the difference in a space of 1 year. Now, imagine that is 2020. Where are we in 2026? Some of you say, I am okay speaking. I want to master the art of public speaking. But you see, for me, I don't like things of camera. Let me laugh at you. Because, one, these days, 50 to 60% of meetings, international organizations and multinational or big organizations, whether departmental or cross-organizational meetings, take place online. If there's an event, if it's an activity jointly being organized, it is inevitable to have online meetings. Number two, these days, most events, live events, whether they are conferences, workshops, 50% are taking place online. Before you do a physical conference, someone has already done like 3 of them digitally. Number three, these days people are hiring virtually. Someone is in Kenya and is employing someone in Uganda. I remember when Vusi told us that he employed his digital guy for about, I think, 5 years, and they had never met him. The guy was in Dubai, he's in South Africa. Every time he intended to meet him, they would fail to meet. I don't remember the years he took to meet the guy. What I'm trying to say is that virtual meetings are happening. Virtual interviews are happening. But most importantly, virtual influencing, virtual selling, virtual impacting, virtual advocating is happening through content. You cannot have a business and you think you're going to compete with someone who does content. You cannot attempt to do personal branding and you think that your personal brand in this generation is going to affect or compete with someone who is doing content online. It's like a shortcut to almost everything. I know people who have built thriving businesses in 1 year because they went on YouTube, they went on TikTok. So you must make sure that this year you master the art of digital speaking. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you're on level 0 or high in your career ladder. Because even when you're the CEO, there are now meetings you have to chair online. But if you don't master the basic skills of digital speaking, my friend, remember, there are 2 different types of public speaking that happens online. There's what we call asynchronous event. There's what we call asynchronous communication events online, and also what we call synchronous communications events. Synchronous means that the communication interface happens spontaneously. All of us who are watching someone are doing so at the same time. This could be like a live online, let's say YouTube live, TikTok live. It could be a conference which is being broadcasted online. It could be a class, but that class is happening online, live event. That is called synchronous. It could be a job interview. They're interfacing with you. In a meeting, you're presenting a report. Everyone that is watching that content at that time, they're watching you at the same time, and it ends when you end speaking. And then we have asynchronous. Asynchronous means it doesn't happen at the same time. You, the communicator, you communicate at a different time and everyone watches at their own will. And that is usually what we call content. When someone does pre-recorded speaking, it could be a pre-recorded course. It could be content like this that I am doing. It could be even a meeting that you recorded it and then published it for other people to watch. Now, the skills you need to master for synchronous and asynchronous are varying and are different. Because when it comes to pre-recorded communication events, you have time to edit. You have time maybe to even write a script, to rehearse, do it and do it again, edit it out, edit mistakes, do it again, edit mistakes. But whereas when it comes to synchronous, it is just like the normal on-stage speaking events. It is natural. It is free will. It happens when it happens. You have enough time to pause, think, connect, ask questions, you interact. So the skills are different. But majorly, I need you to work on these 3 things in any digital speaking engagements. Number 1, sustain the energy. At a certain point, people online drift off. Why? Because even you yourself, sometimes you feel exhausted speaking to no one. So you need to learn how to sustain energy. You need to think of what you're going to say and keep on the script. I'm not meaning that you're going to write out what you're going to say. You need to have a paper. If possible, have a notebook. Also, you yourself keep on taking some notes. Have a way you engage people. You tell people, if you're now following me up to this point, please write public speaking in the comments and then proceed. Imagine you're still engaging people, and every time you feel like you're drifting off, rise back again. Number 3, avoid distractions, especially distractions in the background. Avoid anything that will distract your audience to something else. Your children passing, something is making some funny illustrations in the background. Sometimes people pay attention to everything else. And on screen, I don't know whether you've ever paid attention. If you pay attention to words, let's say captions, you miss the expressions of a person. If you pay attention to the expressions of a person, you miss the captions. So make sure you do not have a lot of distractions when you're speaking digitally. But at the same time, even you yourself, make sure where you're facing, where your camera is, there are no distractions. Because if they distract you, we shall see it, we shall feel it, we shall hear it. And number 3 is maintain eye contact. In this case, the lens is your audience, where the camera is. If you have more than 2 or 3 cameras, they should tell you what is the main camera. Now, that main camera, you assume you're looking at your audience. Do not take away your eyes. Unless it's intentional, maybe to express. But if it's not intentional, your eyes should be towards the camera. Again, today I've challenged you that as you are revolving to work on your public speaking skills, make sure you also work on your digital speaking skill. It is bad for you if you haven't even worked on the general physical public speaking skills. You should look for me. But for those who have already worked on your public speaking skills, it's high time that you start working on speaking on camera. And as you do so, whether synchronous or asynchronously, make sure you learn how to sustain energy, to avoid distractions, and maintain eye contact. Now, if you found any value in this video, just remember to share this video. And if you're interested in joining us to overcome the fear of public speaking, learn how to speak with clarity and structure, but also speak without forgetting what you're meant to say, and partially digital speaking, all you have to do, click the sign up button above my name or ask any question in the comments. Otherwise, if you don't have any comments, just type #public speaking to let me know that you've watched and you've appreciated this video and I should continue making videos on public speaking. See you in the next video.